Welcome to Universal Man. My name is Mark Weppett, and I'm here to help you unleash your apex potential. And today I want to talk a little bit about the feeling of being behind. I think many people today have the feeling when they look around at the world, they see where everyone else is, and they feel, they're way ahead of me. I'm way behind. There's no way I can catch up. And if you think like this, well, then you can kind of defeat yourself before you even start. Because if you're so behind, maybe you can never catch up. Maybe you should just give it up, right? Well, I don't think we should look at things this way, so let's solve that right now. So one of the things I've heard from guys of all ages is this idea of being so behind in life. And I've heard this from guys in their 20s. Honestly, I've heard this from guys in their teens, and I almost had to, avoid laughing at them. But I've also heard it from guys, obviously, in their 50s, their 60s, their 70s. And I've even worked with like one or two guys in their 80s. And, everyone holds this perception that they are behind, that they have wasted all this time not realizing their potential, and that they're just not good enough because of that. And they usually, when they have this mentality, it comes from some kind of history of bad habits, bad career paths, maybe, some kind of mental health issues, or maybe it's just they kind of lost themselves for a period. Maybe they just were unable to get themselves on track and they just allowed themselves to fall into that path of least resistance for a while. And then they wake up and they're like, holy crap, I've wasted all this time. I'm so behind. And this can be a really intense killer, a killer of motivation, a killer of progress. And I know it firsthand. Like, for perspective, I've been making YouTube videos for 7 years now. And, I've made over 175 of them. And until really recently, until within now-ish almost, I feel like I've never really known what I was doing, and I've bounced all around. I've tried different upload rates, different content styles. I even tried a rather polarizing persona that may or may not have worked against me. It was still fun though. But the point is, it'd be very easy for me to look at other YouTubers, look at other business owners, people who have been working way less time than me and who are way further ahead and seem to have themselves way more figured out. And I could look at that as a way to beat myself up, as a way to find myself to be a failure. And honestly, that wouldn't help me at all, right? And so when I would get a thought like that in my head, here's the way that I've learned how to respond. Basically, instead of viewing myself as behind, I just view myself as gathering contrast. And I think this idea of gathering contrast is extremely, extremely powerful because it's true, all right? So here's how it works, all right? We can only appreciate something to the extent to which you can compare it to something else. All right. So if you, for example, have lived every day for the past X number of years in physical pain, like say you had some kind of chronic back problem or some kind of disease or something like that, if one day you woke up and you didn't have that pain, how would you feel? You would feel like you were in heaven. And I know this because I know people like this who have had chronic issues and had them disappear, and all of a sudden they have an entirely new lease on life. They actually look at life in a fundamentally different way, and they're able to enjoy it on a profoundly more deep level. And it's because of the contrast. They have the experience of seeing one extreme, and then when they see the other side, it's like, oh my God, that's amazing. However, if you never had such a negative experience, well then waking up without pain wouldn't mean so much to you. And so this is why people who tend to go through the processes of recovering from addictions or going through really hard periods in their life, they have a baseline level of appreciation for life that's much better. Okay. So on one hand, this can really help gratitude, right? But it's not limited at gratitude. Yes, contrast breeds gratitude, but there's more to it. A lot of times it can breed very serious breakthroughs. Okay. Sometimes the only way that you're going to be able to find the right path for you is by trying a lot of other paths that aren't right. Because the world is a massively complex place, and your ideal path through it it's something that you can't even know until you gather more experience, right? Like, so, going back to me with YouTube, like, I had to try a lot of different stuff. They were my best bets, my best ideas. Like, oh, maybe I just, we'll try a video once a week talking like this. Maybe I'll try just taking a year and a half off and not make anything because I'm too overwhelmed. Maybe I'll try this persona. Maybe I'll try this thing. And, maybe I'll try live streaming. And when you experiment, you get feedback. And for every little piece that clicks, you file that away. But then for every little piece that doesn't, what that does is that starts to highlight the places where the real path ahead is. It's kind of like sometimes in order to find the path forward, you have to find all the paths that lead backwards first. And I've seen this hold true in almost every area of my life. So for example, I really wanted to be, I really wanted to have relationship meaning. I really wanted to have true connection with someone. And I pursued that sexual connection to the extreme ends of, porn addiction, sex addiction, this kind of stuff. And through that contrast and through that rather hellish experience, I now understand what true, beautiful, intimate love is. And I wouldn't have been able to find that. I wouldn't have been able to really understand that, I don't think, without going down that route. Likewise, with productivity, okay? I used to be the least productive guy you've ever met. I had to try a million different things. I had to, I couldn't get myself to work for like an hour straight without needing to take a break to play video games or jerk off or something like that, okay? But through not giving up, through finding all the ways of trying to progress with and failing, and finding trying all those ways and seeing what didn't work, eventually the path forward became clear. And through having to force myself through that cheese grater of a process, I come out on the other side with extreme knowledge of all these kinds of processes. And then I can use that to build a career. I built a career helping guys how to quit porn. I'm building a career on how to, I'm moving into the productivity stuff and putting together courses and content for that. And people are paying me for it. People are paying for the coaching. And it becomes an advantage. That's right. So it's like, the lower the valley, the higher the peak. The hotter the forge, the stronger the steel. It's like through your contrasts, you will find your treasures. And so it's never too late. The more contrast that you've built up. So let's say the longer timeline of bullshit that you've piled onto your life, then I would say that you are just setting yourself up for an even greater climax should you continue forward and truly give this journey of life the best shot that you can. I believe 100% that you have this peak waiting for you. You just got to keep going, keep believing. The only way that you're going to rob yourself from experiencing that height that is meant for you is if you give up. So my friends, keep going. If you're potentially interested in hearing more about what I've learned in my journeys through contrast, make sure you check out my membership to the Universal Man Vanguard below. I'm going to be releasing a new Apex report that's going to teach you a little trick for moving through the more painful aspects of this contrast more quickly in this month's edition. So click that link below and check it out. But that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. I hope you got something out of this. If you did, please like, please subscribe. Maybe think about sharing this video with someone if you think they could use the message. Maybe hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. But I'll see you in the next one. Ooyap.